Hi, Artie and Jack here again. Second kit in Delancey Street on our page-to-page series. You have to follow your manual, but the first kit we hit was the first one in sequence, which was Ricketts. This time it's the Delancey Diner. Follow page by page with us as we discuss some things that maybe warrant some additional discussion with Jack Ellis and myself. So Jack's going to take over as we approach the techniques for doing the Delancey Diner.
Hi, this is Jack Ellis at Bar Mills. We're going to do Delancey Diner. This is one that Jim Mooney really liked. He thought we needed to have a little diner put into this thing, and it is a true Art Deco little diner. So the first page we're going to look at, it says right at the top, Delancey Diner. So that's really easy to see. And that's just kind of an overview and a little discussion about designing it and then putting it together. The next page is a bunch of basically photographs for to look at to see how ours came out. And it's not too hard, but it's straightforward and you need to follow the directions.
Now notice, Jack, on these pictures that two of the walls, because it is placed up against another building, of course you can place it up against a totally different building if you wish to, but two of the walls are dummy walls.
Yeah, they're blank. We just painted them the gray,
right,
so they would blend right in. The next page says part numbers on the top, and it shows where all the pieces are on which sheets, and it gives you an idea where to go find them when you're putting them together, which they're all referenced to the instructions. And then the next page shows the top 1, 2, 3, 4 are all to scale. So if you need to look at something or see if you're getting it square or things like that, you can actually take measurements and things right directly from those 4 drawings on the top. And the bottom one is just an elevation picture that you can kind of look at to see what you're trying to build. So the next page is we're starting to build it. And the two things that you have are the top roof and the base piece. And I suggest the base piece, I actually primed these all gray, but then I went back and painted the base piece in the cement and the steps. So that would be number 8, number 5, and number 4. We painted those all, pre-painted them with a concrete color. So I don't have to worry about it in the future. The next thing you're going to do is, after you get those two pieces, you're going to start to build up the window walls, which is the front 2 walls. And they're done with a series of interlocking pieces. If you look on the drawings, you want to make sure that the slots aren't too tight. If they're tight, you need to open up a little bit. You can use a little file and make sure they're not tight. Don't force them in. They will break, and then you're going to have to figure out how to put it together or glue it back together. But if you follow the layout that it shows you, it goes together quite nicely. And there's 2 walls. They're not identical, so you have to be careful to keep them straight. Keep them separate and straight. Once you get those 2 pieces all set up, you're going to fit them into the base. And that'll show you at the bottom of that page how they fit right into the slots. So you have a triangular piece, and the narrow part of the triangle goes down and the large part of the triangles go up. And then you're going to fit in the 2 corner pieces, which is above the door, and the 2 pieces that give you the top rail, and that gives you an L-shaped piece with a rounded corner. I painted these at this point, and I basically wanted a silvery chrome looking color, so I found a paint pen, actually it's a paint pen, that was used for automotive models, and it's a chrome, and it gave you the shiny metal looking that I wanted. So I used that paint pen and it worked really, really well. I'm going to go to the next page now.
Now just for reference, Polyscale, may they rest in peace, kind of, I still have some flat aluminum paint they used to make, so you do have an option. Yeah. Although the paint pen seems a little bit more
shiny,
current also, you can still get paint pens.
Yeah. It's shiny though too. I tried the flat aluminum colors and it didn't give me the shine that I wanted, like it was a stainless steel. And this would have been a polished stainless steel.
You want to get a real 1950s retro look here.
Yep. Yep. So in the next page at the top, you're going to see how the 2 front walls are all framed up. And the next thing you're going to do is you're going to start by laying up the 3 pieces that make the windows and the piece of acetate. What I basically did is I paint my frames for my windows ahead of time, then I laid them all together, and I kind of lightly sanded the corners, the flat edges all the way around until they fit perfectly into those spaces. They fit sometimes a little tight. You want to sand them so they fit. It doesn't take too much sanding, and they'll fit right in. And you put all your windows all the way across. Make sure they go in the right holes, that's all. And then you're going to look at the next section down. It shows door assembly. Again, pre-paint your pieces. Then you lay them up in 1, 2, 3, 4, and they even have a little piece of metal. You can make the handle that goes across the door.
Now with the handle, I have to tell you how I did this. Rather than try to tuck it in as is illustrated, I just cut a piece of wire and glued it on. It's if you tucked it in, you'd never be able to tell. It's a lot of work. It's just as easy to pre-paint a piece of wire and just glue it on the surface.
If you really want to give it a try, you can bend it and try, but the easy way to do is just glue it right across the door.
Absolutely.
So once you got all your windows in and your door in, that stiffens up the front walls. It makes them so they're not floppy at all. Get really nice. The next thing you're going to do is put in your 2 black walls, and they're tab and slot. And you can see that they'll fit together, creating the right angle. And then I basically used that number 9 piece, which is the top roof, to make sure everything was square and straight.
But we both learned that we don't want to install the number 9 piece, because we had to come back and add interior window signs by disassembling the whole thing.
Exactly.
We're going to tell you not to disassemble anything, just simply before you seal up this building, because it is sealed from the bottom, which is unusual, as well as the top. Right.
Yeah. Once you get the top and the bottom on this, there's no interior work at all. You're done. So he's right. You want to make sure you're going to put your signs on your windows and above your windows before you put on your roof.
And you're going to want to look at the color picture at the beginning of this section of the instructional booklet. And of course those signs are included on the same page as the Ricketts signs were. So you have your blinds and you have your fried food and seafood and whatever it was that we've used on the inside for additional detailing, as well as some very, very small signs that would feature apple pie or coffee or something. So if you want to do a little bit on your own and enhance it a little bit or junk it up or keep it clean, it's up to you. But this is the time to do it before you put that roof on.
Yeah, you could actually put your signs on your windows before you actually put them into the opening. Might be easier to do that. If you put them on them and then place your windows into the square openings, that might be a little bit even easier than trying to reach inside that little building and stick them on the windows.
That's the way we did it, but you know, whatever works for you, right?
Yeah. And the next one shows you the little tabs that go in between the windows. That they're just a facade piece. Again, they're number 45. You want to pre-paint those.
And now that's the next page you're on here.
Yeah, we'll move the page, I'm sorry. We'll flip the next page. So the 2 45 pieces and the 47 and 48 need to be pre-painted, the silver color, and installed the way they show on the directions. The next
it doesn't
one,
look like much right now because it's basically very much of a skeleton.
Right. Okay. If you have your windows all in with all your signs and everything, then you can put your roof on. So this may be a point where you want to put your roof on. You glue your roof down, make sure everything is square, and then we have these number 13 little tab pieces that hold up the front facade of the building. They go right into a slot. They glue on real quick, pre-paint them. It's much easier.
They give the building, the roof, a lift.
Right. It gives you a little facade on the top. The next thing that comes in play is actually below the windows and above the windows pieces. And basically it's made up of 2 pieces. There's a flat piece, that's a back piece, and then all the ribs, it shows you in the picture, it shows you they look like ribs.
So it's a 2-piece laminated is what you're doing.
2-piece laminated, and it's pressure sensitive, so you just stick them right on. What we did with ours is the back pieces, the pieces in the back, the flat, we painted them white. But they could be painted red, they could be painted yellow, whatever color you'd like them. And then the slatted pieces that go over it, the ribs that go over it, we painted back the aluminum color. So basically that's the basic color. If you'll see right here, the basic color here in between these slats is white, but it could be red, it could be yellow, it could be blue, whatever you'd like to do. The same thing with the rounded piece in the front.
You're talking about number 24 with the 46
number
overlays?
24, that's the backing. That piece is whatever color you choose for backing. And then 46, you want to pre-paint those, the chrome color, and just space them across the front of it.
Now you use yellow glue for all of this, I assume?
Most of the stuff that isn't pressure sensitive, yeah, I use yellow glue.
Okay.
So if you want to paint it a different color on that back panel, that's fine. If you want to go with white, that looks good too. So let's turn the page.
Okay, now this is the page that starts with the big number 60 up on top, number 60 up on top.
This shows the little top facade. What you have is number 61 is the piece that wraps right around. It's one piece, and basically you want to kind of bend it in your fingers a little bit to get that curve into it. Doesn't need a lot of curve, it kind of will follow the curve. And basically start on one end and glue it, and then glue it to each of the supports as you go right around to the other end. That's the easiest way to get it on tight.
That's 61.
Yeah, 61, which is the back piece. Depending upon what color you use, whether it's red or white, that piece needs to be red and white. And then the number 60, which is just two little bands, we painted those aluminum. They come tied together at the ends. Once you put them on, you're going to cut the ends off, and there'll be no...
So the ends just keep them in alignment
Right,
while you're assembling this.
Trim off your ends.
Right.
And the next thing we basically did, it doesn't show here, but I'm talking about it, we painted the roof.
Right.
We basically painted it black. A flat black color, threw in a couple patches on it, and that was basically what we did to the roof. I mean, you don't do a lot more. It looks really good. If you really want to you could use a fine dirt on it and paint it in with black, and use a gravel roof if you like, but paint it black was fine with what we did.
This model here was pretty much modeled as it would have been in the day, not something that's supposed to represent something 70 years old.
Right. And then we have the air conditioner that goes up on top. Number 56 and 55 pieces tabbed together to make a rectangle. We painted those black. And then you'll see that there are grates that go around the side of it. We painted them the silver color and put them over, allowing the black to show through. And it gives you that look that it's empty inside. We also painted the very top piece, which is 59 silver, and that completed the whole box.
All right, next page then, right? We're going to go on to the sign.
Yep, we're going to go on to the sign in the front. The sign in the front is made up of three pieces. You have 63, which is your basic shape of the sign, the arrow, and then two pieces of 62 that go on either side, which look like chrome trim with lights on it, basically. They're just holes, but they look that way. We painted our sign 63 red. We painted our 62 silver, put them together. And the other thing we have in it, you'll find there's a cutout that says EAT, E-A-T, and we painted them white.
Now, before we go any further, I'm just looking back here at the parts sheets while you're referring to the that page.
Mm-hmm.
The 63 is actually two pieces.
Right.
And the 62 is two pieces.
Right.
So there's not three components, it's actually
four.
four.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is that you have a small seam, or you could interject a seam between these layers, which is important when it comes to mounting the sign.
Right. It will be. We'll talk about it in a minute. Yeah, it is four pieces. I'm sorry. The word "eat" comes. You can cut that out, paint it. We painted it white, cut it out, and centered it on the top of the sign to tell you what to do in this building, what to eat. Now we're going to mount the sign in the building, and if you flip the whole sign assembly over, you're going to find out you'll be able to drill a hole between the two 63 pieces by starting a little drill and drilling a hole for a piece of wire.
Now I have to interject here because I'm looking at the part numbers, and Lenny's right here with us, and he's our production manager, so he knows better than I what parts go in what bags. But I don't see the letters EAT here on the cut file. Where were those located within the kit, Lenny? Because it's obviously not.
They
on
are
the cut
separate
page.
in a larger bag with all kinds of different things: the telephone poles, an auxiliary bag with all kinds of extra stuff.
Right, so if you don't see the word EAT and you don't see the cut file for it there on the part numbers, don't be alarmed. It is in there, but it was an afterthought, and we actually included it in a separate bag of goodies, so do not despair. It is in there. It's just sometimes we keep throwing details at things, and they don't always end up exactly where they might be the most, idealistically placed.
So once you've drilled your hole between the two number 63s towards the end of the arrow, what I'm going to do is slide that piece of wire and glue it in there. And then I'm going to take the front flat part of the arrow piece. If you look at the bottom of the arrow where it meets the door, it will actually lay perpendicular right up against that angled wall. You can glue it right in there, and before you do that, you want to kind of test fit it to see where that piece of wire is going to go through the roof, and drill a hole in the roof, and slide it down, and glue it on the front right above the door.
And I think the pictures tell the story on this one.
Yep, that's about it.
So here we are winding up the Delancey Street Diner, out in the 1950s. Anything from Fonzie and Laverne and Shirley to whatever.
We have one more thing before we go. There is a sign that goes on the wall behind it for this particular application that talks about the Starlight Diner and a couple of light lamps to go above it. If for some reason you weren't going to use it here, you could make that onto a billboard and put it on top of the roof if you're going to use it in a different application.
But-
There is a sign there.
But we have it mounted in our
On the
diorama
wall.
on the actual
wall.
back wall of the movie theater.
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
Okay, so for Jack,
that's about it. All I know.
yeah, for Jack, this is Artie, and this wraps up the oversight on this. Please remember, we went page by page with you with this to help clarify anything, and we hope it was of some help. Thanks very much for joining us this time around.